Hello everyone, I am Dr. Kedarnath Longani. I am an MD homeopath. Today we are going to see the topic Evolution of Btpb, Boning Hassan's Therapeutic Pocketbook. After Hahnemann's Materia Medica Pura was written, it became more and more apparent that some method should be used that would make it possible to find the simillimum more easily and quickly. Records of symptoms developed through provings reached so bulky in proportions that medicines were prescribed after referring pages and pages of materia medica. Even Hahnemann, who conducted many provings and who himself proved many drugs, prescribed medicines after much reference to the materia medica. This was a stupendous task, even to Hahnemann himself, and he compiled a short repertory of leading symptoms, which were printed in Latin. Later, he developed the repertory idea still further, but these latter repertories are still in the manuscript form. After recovering from purulent tuberculosis in 1828, Boning Hassan developed a firm belief in homeopathic system of medicine. Being a practical man and lawyer from his profession, his logical mind was fully convinced about result obtained by the application of the principle of similia. At that time, there was demand for discovering a device to index the ever-enlarging materia medica. Hahnemann had already shown the way by having one such index for his own reference. But even after his instructions and guidance, his disciples could not prepare a worthwhile index. He started working on the new healing art and came in contact with several physicians and tried to know more and more about homeopathy. Soon he came in contact with Hahnemann in 1830. At that time, repertory was a new adventure in the homeopathic literature, developing under pressure of necessity in indexing many provings that had accumulated or to index the ever-enlarging materia medica. Boning Hassan took up the task of compiling a repertory on being requested by our master Dr. Samuel Hahnemann himself. He meticulously went through the records of original provings and compared them with reports of clinical verifications. In this process, he even discarded some medicines which could not stand his scrutiny. In the modern version, Boning Hassan's repertory encompasses only those medicines that were listed in Hahnemann's chronic diseases as antipsorics. He published his first repertory in 1832 and it is called as the Repertory of Antipsorics with preface by Master Samuel Hahnemann. In spite of the systematic production of Hartlaub and Trinks and Weber and Pastler, whose alphabetical index was also prepared by Boning Hassan, the practitioner preferred Boning Hassan's repertory. They found it more practical and urged Boning Hassan to make it more useful. To make this book more comprehensible, Boning Hassan later on added more antipsoric medicines that were nearly proved. His second repertory, the repertory of medicines which are not antipsorics, was made available to the profession in 1835. In 1833, he published a book named The Summary View of Chief Sphere of Operation of Antipsoric Medicines, and their characteristic peculiarities as an appendix to the repertory, and also another work, an attempt at homeopathic therapy of intermittent fever. In 1836, the book named An Attempt at Showing the Relative Kinship of Homeopathic Medicines was published. Lastly, after 10 years of clinical experience, published his therapeutic pocket book in 1846, wherein he incorporated all information from his earlier works as well as his rich clinical experience. The work became instantaneously popular and proved useful. Even today, this work is invaluable and the profession remains indebted to him for his bedside reference book. Hahnemann himself used Bonninghausen's repertory in his practice and preferred it to Jar's compilation. It was named by Bonninghausen as the therapeutic manual for homeopathic physicians for use at bedside and in the study of materia medica pura. The source book of therapeutic pocket book. This work includes the incorporated information from Bonninghausen's rich clinical experience and earlier work. The first source book, Repertory of Antisoric Medicines, 1832. Summary view of chief spheres of operation of antisoric remedies and the characteristic peculiarities as an appendix to the repertory, 1833. An attempt at homeopathic therapy of intermittent fever, 1833. Repertory of medicines which are not antisoric, 1835. Relative kinship of homeopathic medicines, 1836. The difficulty to cure the chronic disease caused Bonninghausen to think of expedient which would make suitable remedy easier and more certain by bringing the symptoms of each one more clearly in view. At first, the repertory was limited to the remedies named in the first 3 volumes of chronic diseases. The therapeutic pocket book attained instantaneously popularity among the practitioners. Even today, this work is invaluable. This therapeutic pocket book contained the principles and general methods of construction set forth in former volumes, much amplified and perfected as the fruit of constant observations over a period of several years, and yet so compactly constructed that it avoided the cumbersome features of Jar's and other earlier repertories. Now we will see the translations. About 2 years after Bonninghausen first published his therapeutic pocket book in German, was first translated into English by an anonymous person, whose English edition was published in Münster. Translator's name has not been given for this edition, but the translation was done as Bonninghausen says in his preface that one of the most eminent German homeopathic physicians who is perfectly acquainted with English language and literature but who does not care to be known. This edition is not practical for present day use because the translator used many phrases which are not obsolete. The translation was faulty in certain respect and hence did not find favor with the practitioner. Next, then, a fresh translation was made by Bonninghausen himself. A short time afterwards, it was translated by Hempel in around 1847. A careful comparison of several editions and comparison with Materia Medica convince us that of the older editions, Hempel's edition is more nearly correct in its original form and more practical than any other early editions available at that time. Translated by Bogar and Oakley in 1847. Later, it was translated by T. F. Allen, where he made many changes in the form of additions of rubrics, medicines, and even some changes in the structure, but the basic outline remained the same. He dropped 4 remedies and added 220 remedies to Bonnighassen's original 126 remedies, so that the number appearing in Allen's edition is 342. He incorporated the 2 sides of the human body published by Boninghassen in 1851. This incorporation was not done smoothly, so there are many difficulties. Allen's edition has suffered from faulty translation to a marked degree. Along with these mistakes in translation and rearrangement of headings has decreased the usefulness of what would have been the most valuable edition of therapeutic pocket book. At last, in 1935, H. A. Robert, a stalwart in the field of homeopathy, brought out a new edition of Bonnighassen's therapeutic pocket book with few minor changes and carrying an elaborate introduction which facilitated the understanding and practical use of the book. With his vast clinical experience and contribution to the homeopathic literature, he was perhaps the fittest person to write such a learned and useful introduction. The number of medicines in the therapeutic pocket book as per the author's calculation is 362. Dr. J. H. Clark says the therapeutic pocket book is in a sense the parent of all repertories and analysis of the materia medica. Bonnighassen's therapeutic pocket book is the result of his long years of his indefatigable labor, the fruit of all his professional studies, the sum total of all his vast experience and free perfected type of mechanism by which the principles of homeopathy are made practical of application. Allen rearranged the book by changing the title also. See the now use of this repertory mainly. The physician need in his practice to aid in his memory a work which is abridged, easily consulted, and which contains a characteristic symptoms and their combinations. This is to enable him in any individual case of sickness to select from the remedies generally indicated the one suitable and homeopathic without a too great loss of time. In his repertory construction, Bonnighassen was supported and advised by Dr. Hahnemann himself. Even Hahnemann used his repertory. Thank you for listening the lecture on evolution of Btpb. If you like the lecture, then please do like and subscribe our channel Longani Clinics. Thank you and see you soon with a new video on Repertory.